Are you ready to create your first app? Open up the command line, your terminal, and before we do this, remember, make sure you have Rails 5.0 installed. If you don't, go back to the step where I walked you through that. And it's important that you know where you are when you run the next command that I teach you. So first, we're going to make sure that we are in our desktop. So again, if I pwd, I see that I'm here at users Matan Grafel. I can cd into desktop. A safe way of doing this is if you do cd ~/desktop. This is a way to just make sure you can end up there no matter where you are, but both should work. And now you should be in your desktop. Just pwd once to confirm. It should be on your desktop, because now I'm going to have you run this command. Rails space new space om ruby, R-U-B-Y. And what this is actually going to do is it's going to create our first Ruby application. Give it a shot. See what happens. So already it's still going on, right? Right now a bunch of things seem to be changing. It says it's installing a few things, one or two things. Literally what's happening is they created a folder. Rails created a folder on your desktop called omruby. And I can open this while it's going on. It's not going to mess with it. It's a lot of folders and files. And what's happening here is different things are installing in the background that you're going to need for Rails to get set up properly. This, for a lot of people, especially beginners, can be overwhelming. Oh, look, it just finished over here. There's a lot of things going on here, and I want you to just, first of all, trust me in saying you can ignore most of this. Like 90% of it does not matter, and in fact, you may not even really interact with over the course of this class or your time as a developer. But I will walk you through what each of these are and where you should be focusing your time. I'll tell you this one thing. Most of where you'll be doing your coding is inside this folder called app. That's where you'll be focusing like 80% of your time. Bin doesn't really matter, not worth knowing about. It's just commands that you'll be able to run here. Config, these are some configuration files. If you want to make some customizations or changes to the way that your app starts mostly, then you'd go in here. We're not going to worry about that for now. Config.ru, another configuration file, not that important. DB, this is where your database is going to live. We'll see that in a second. Gem file, that is where these basically libraries are being installed from. This has a list of all of the libraries that your application will need. So whenever we add new ones, we add that to the gem file. Gemfile.lock is basically just created from gem file, so we never have to mess with that one either. Lib is where you can store code that you write that's not specific to your application. You can share it between applications. Also, we're not going to use that. Log, you can automatically, it'll save log files there. You don't have to worry about that. Public, this is going to be some public things such as files or images for your application. We don't need to worry about that. Rake file, also no need to worry about that. It's just tasks that you can use in your Rails application. README, that'll be cool. We can put in some text there that explains to people how to use this app, but we're not going to mess with that for now. Test, this is where you can write tests to make sure your code works like how you want it to. We're not going to be writing tests in this class, but this is something built into Rails that if you did want to write tests, you can do that here. TMP stands for temporary, just temporary files will get stored here. And vendor, this is a lot like lib. If you download code from other places and you don't know where to put it in your app, you throw it in vendor. So all of that to be said, you don't have to worry about most of this, and I'm going to walk you through the important stuff. It's mostly inside of the app folder. So now, before we actually get to looking at any of the code, I want to run our application so we can see what we actually built. So here we are back in the command line, and I've created this folder, but I'm not inside of it yet. I am still in the desktop. So if I did ls, then I should see I have this folder. I actually have to change directories into this folder. Now I'm inside of it. And now we're going to run a server. Just type in Rails space server and hit enter. Now what's happening here is basically Rails comes built in with a server that you can start on your computer by typing Rails server, and it gives you some text like starting the server. It's called Puma. It says you have a Rails 5 application starting in development on, and then it actually gives you this HTTP address, which you can copy and open up in the browser, like in Google Chrome, and paste it in. It's http://localhost:3000. I'd recommend just copying it and pasting it in. And if your server is running and you open this up and hit enter, you should see this. This is the Rails default welcome page that basically tells you you got everything set up, you're good to go. This is your first ever web application that you've just built for the first time. Congratulations.